to the partnership. Got it here. Welcome to the Partnership for International Birding's video conference on birding in Brazil's Pantanal and other nearby areas. We will cover some of the wildlife in the area as well. I'm just going to take a few minutes to lay the ground rules down on the call. They're very simple. We do welcome questions, and we prefer that you text them in on that chat box. The text goes to me, the facilitator of the meeting, and I'm Charles Thornton Colby. I'm the executive partner of the Partnership for International Birding, and it also goes to Jose Antonio. I sometimes save some questions towards the end. I don't know. I'm praying to God we get to a time where we don't have to talk about the pandemic anymore, but I think it's going to linger with us for a while. And just glad everybody's getting vaccines and boosters and all that stuff. Anyway, so questions are welcome. You can text them in. We'll have a couple natural breaks where you can unmute, and we're going to cover several geographic areas, sort of the Pantanal itself, and we sort of bird out of a single lodge there, but you know, we may take a break there because there's a lot of birding around that lodge. You get all the endemics there, and then we're going to talk about birding at Chapata dos Guimarães, and then we're going to talk about the Porto Joffre boat trip, which covers the Jaguar and the giant otter, and it's kind of the best place in the world to see the Jaguar. So just in simple brief, please God, ask questions. We do appreciate it. A little bit on Jose Antonio, and then he can start. He's been a bird guide for nearly 20 years. About a dozen of those years, he's been guiding in Brazil, in the Brazil Amazon, and in the Pantanal. He also guides in Peru, Brazil, and Bolivia. He starts a Bolivia trip in just a couple of days. He started as a guide in the Amazon basin, and this kind of was his gateway to sort of bird in Brazil and the southern Amazon there. And then he learned the Pantanal. He has family in both Brazil and Peru, so he's got a lot of roots in the area. Our clients love his friendly and casual manner, and he is truly a guide who's always willing to help. Jose Antonio's expertise in birding and tour logistics and his warm personality make him a great choice as a birding tour leader. With no further ado, I hand the microphone to you, sir, and I will mute up myself for a little bit here. Go, my friend.
Okay, Charles. Thank you very much for the introduction. Hello again, everybody. Thank you for joining me this morning here in Peru, afternoon maybe in the place you are now. In this opportunity, I'm gonna talk about this small part of Brazil that is the Pantanal. And in fact, I'm gonna be actually, following the tour, Partnership for International Birding, that's in Pantanal. And please, if there are some questions, please let me know anytime during the conversation we are having. No, I have chosen these three kind of like main figures of Pantanal for the first slide, so you can more or less see how the presentation is going to go for. We're going to talk about obviously birds, but we're also going to talk about mammals in Pantanal, including the largest cat in the Americas, which is the Jaguar. All right. So to start talking about Pantanal, we need to always, see the map of, first of all, Brazil, and the map where Pantanal is located. No, as you can see here, well, Brazil, as you all probably know, is one of the biggest or largest countries in the world. It's in fact the 5th largest country in the world, with a population, a little bit over 200 millions of inhabitants, that live in this large country. Most of the populated cities in Brazil are located along the coasts, on the Atlantic coast, no? And in terms of bioregions in Brazil, as you can see here in the map, we have basically the Amazonia region, which is the largest bioregion in the country, no? It's up here, in this area, as you can see. Then we have the second largest bioregion in the country, is the Cerrado habitat, no? That we have also here, a little bit lighter green color. And then we have the Atlantic rainforest that is actually surrounded by a chain of mountains that we know of the Brazilian Shield. No, the Atlantic rainforest is on the coast, and it's kind of like nice because there's also a lot of bird opportunity there, a lot of birding activity. In fact, we also go to the Atlantic rainforest in some of the tours. Then we have the Pantanal, which is obviously not the bioregion we'll be focused on this morning, and we're going to talk about it, for like an hour. And the last one, but not the least one, we also have at the south of the country, the Pampas. The Pampas is a huge area that is shared with especially Argentina down in the south. But in Brazil, there is only a little bit of the Pampas that is actually located at the base of the country, southern part of the country. So Pantanal is there, located very much a little bit in the southern west of the country, and it's shared with two other countries as well, that is Paraguay, and Bolivia. So there is a lot of also Pantanal in these countries, but the majority of this fantastic habitat is in fact in Brazil. About 80% of Pantanal is actually in Brazil. As you can see here in this other map, we have again Brazil, and a little bit more geographically painted, and Pantanal is here, very close to, in fact, the middle of the South American continent. So Pantanal is very close to right the middle of South America. As you can see, here the map is also showing a little bit of Bolivia that is here, and a little bit of Paraguay, that they also have a little bit of this Pantanal. However, most of the Pantanal area is located in Brazil, right? So there are some very nice and interesting facts about Pantanal, that I'm gonna start talking about. Like, for example, the Brazilian Pantanal offers the finest wildlife viewing in the Americas, exceeding even the wildlife experience of the Galapagos. In fact, some people say that the only one place in the America that can rival Africa, for the fantastic wildlife will be Pantanal. That's why, it's amazing place, and we can get most of the big cats and big mammals and also large birds in the Americas in just one particular place, So Pantanal also offers the new world's greatest diversity of an abundance of large charismatic mammals, such as jaguars, as I already said, which is the largest, cat in the Americas, Brazilian tapir as well, giant river otters, capybaras, and young anteaters. Spectacular birds such as jabiru storks, hyacinth macaws, Toco Tucum, and of course, much more. Now here in the picture, you can see young otters that in any other place in South America are extremely hard to get. In fact, they are critically endangered. But in Pantanal, the young otters are in very good, healthy state. The population is very good, and we have large populations of young otters everywhere. Capybaras down here, as you can see, is also abundant in Pantanal, and is in fact one of the jaguar's favorite food. And as we are going out in the rivers in Pantanal, we always checking and watching capybaras, which are, the largest rodents in the world, and they are in an alert position all the time in case a jaguar comes and attacks them. Young anteater as well, another mammal found in South America that are easy to get in Pantanal, otherwise could be really, really hard to get, especially in areas like the Amazon rainforest. All right. So there are almost 600 species of birds in Pantanal, believe it or not, 80 species of mammals and 50 species of reptiles that have been recorded in the area, including an estimating of 10 million Jaguar caiman, which is the name of the caiman that we have, a species caiman we have in Pantanal, which is in fact the largest concentration of cocodrillions in the world. In fact, every time you're going over, on the Transpantanera road, that we are going to talk about it in a minute, if you look over and you look on the horizons, especially in areas where there's a little bit of water or bodies of water, you're going to find a huge concentrations of these Jaguar caimans, that are easy to get and spot there as well. Of the almost 600 species of Pantanal, of the birds especially, of the Pantanal, 82 species weigh more than a pound, the world's widest variety of large birds, like this great area, for instance, that we can easily see also as we're going into these fantastic wetlands. Now, Pantanal, my friends, as you can see here, hold on, let me check it out this 1 second. It's a huge area that gets really flooded during the wet season. Now, this is a satellite on an aerial view of Pantanal during the wet season. Now, as you can see, it's very much impossible to visit during this time of the year. And the wet season goes for almost 6 months of the year, from October to November until April to May. And then it comes the dry season where everything dries out in Pantanal, and then it's okay to go and visit. In fact, the best time of the year to visit this fantastic place, it starts more or less in June or July, and it goes until, September or even October a little bit, which is dry season. In wet season, it's, as I said, almost impossible because everything is very much flooded. In fact, Pantanal is a Spanish and Portuguese word that means big swamp, And as you can see, this is very much how it looks like in that time, and hence the name of this place. Another place, another aerial view of Pantanal. In fact, Pantanal is the largest wetland in the world, as you can see here. Some of the lodges are even all covered, with water during the dry season, as you can see here. And it's, again, in the wet season, when everything is covered with water and it's all flooded, this is spectacular for especially water birds like herons and egrets that are all coming and concentrated in these big lakes and big sort of like lakes that are formed during this time. Now, to have a closer view of what we're visiting and also of the Pantanal, we have this nice sort of like map. So I would like to talk a little bit about the formation of this place, okay, at this opportunity. Pantanal is in fact like a lowland depression, I will say like a big hole, almost in the middle of the continent, formed by the formation of the Andes on the western side and the formation of the Brazilian Shield on the eastern side of the continent. So more than 1.5 millions of years ago, when these two chains of mountains were formed, then they actually made that big hole of depression almost in the middle of the continent, right? And then because it's a hole really there, it gets all flooded with water in the wet season, water that comes obviously from the rain, but also from the rivers all around that get all over flooded, and they will start, going into the hole and get all flooded around. Okay, so that's why we have this fantastic area where when it gets dry and it all gets, nice and good, it's amazing to see wildlife. All right, and there are some rivers around that are a lot visited by local Brazilian people, especially to do like sport fishing. And one of the rivers that they visit, which is called the Kuyava River, is where we go and look for jaguars, for instance, okay? And in fact, jaguars are a lot used to people because of these sport fishing activities that have been on for many, many years and decades in this part of the country, and they never harm the jaguars in the area. And that is, in fact, one of the reasons why we think jaguars are so used to people and are so easy to see in this particular area. So Pantanal is huge, and in fact, is located between two big states in Brazil. One is called Mato Grosso do Sul, right? Which capital, as you can see here in the map, is called Corumbá. And the other state is called Mato Grosso only, which capital is Cuyava, that you can see here, no, in the top of the map. Cuyava is a big city of about more than 600,000 people that live in it, and it can be easily reached by regular daily flights that come from, you know, the main cities in Brazil, like Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, or Brasilia, all right? And there are daily flights into Cuyaba city, and when you get there, then you are very much in the northern part of the Pantanal area. So our tour is based on this first part, no, of the northern Pantanal, where there is a road that is known as the Transpantaneira Road, which, as you can see, no, is this red line that goes through this small town of Poconé, and then keep going down south, you know, and it ends in this little place called Porto Jofre, right? And here is where we are going to stay in a very nice, comfortable lodge. And here's where we're going to start looking for the jaguars and other specialties. But along the road, no, because the whole area is very nice, open. There's a lot of grassland. In fact, some people, no, are trying to describe Pantanal as a big, huge savanna woodland, no, on the area and along the road is, in fact, amazing for a lot of different type of birds, etc., and even mammals, as I'm gonna show you later. We stay in a couple of other lodges, you know, along the Transpantaneira Road, and that is what I mean. It will provide with a lot of bird species, etc. So the name of the road that we are doing, Transpantaneira Highway or Transpantaneira Road, is because back in the 70s, people, I think it was in the 70s or even more than that, the people were trying to connect the big two cities, you know, of these two big states, that it means Cuyava and Corumbá, with a huge long road that in fact will go across the whole Pantanal area. But, you know, the project dropped, they never actually finished. So this, in fact, is an unfinished road that now only ends in Porto Jofre and never comes down, and never was able to come down to Corumbá city, as you can see here. No, so that is good, no, because obviously it's good access into the Pantanal, and give us great also opportunity for wildlife watching as well. And in our tour, as I said, we cover the first and northern part of Pantanal area for a few days, and then we're going to Cuyava, and we go north of Cuyava, as you can see here, about 99 miles northeast of Cuyava to this big national park called Chapada Chimarais, right? Chapada Chimarais is a nice, fantastic place, full of waterfalls. And the interesting thing about Chapada Chimarais is that it's actually right at the border with the southern part of the Amazonian region of Brazil, meaning that in that area, we get to see a lot of Amazonian species as well, birds. So in that way, going and doing this tour between Cuyava, Pantanal, and Chapada, it gives us a chance for a lot of Amazonian species, but also, Pantanal is surrounded by a huge, cerrado habitat that I already showed you in the map, which is down here, very much on the eastern part of the Pantanal, and also south, and also surrounded by a nice habitat known as Chiquitania, which is down here on the west, by Bolivia. So we get to see birds of Pantanal, Amazonian birds, cerrado birds, and a little bit of Chiquitania birds when doing the tour. Yes, Charles.
Yeah, so we've got a nice little overview of the geography and highlighting on some of the main mammals. I know we're going to cover jaguar and giant otter more and the Porto Jofre part of the thing. Do you want to spend a little bit of time getting to the birding in the Pantanal itself?
Yeah, that is going now.
Go for that. And then
Okay.
we'll open up for some questions, unless anybody has any questions now generally about the tour. I've got one that came in. Okay, I'll get to that other question later. Thank you, ma'am. Let's talk about the birding and the Pantanal. That would be great.
Okay. So, well, this is the entrance to the Transpantanal Road. The road has about 122 bridges, and some of the views you can see here, of the Pantanal. And here the birds, in fact, this is a nice bird I really like. This is the red Legaceriema. The red Legaceriema is found in this open grasslands area in South America. And there's only two species within the family, which is the red-legged and the black-legged. In this tour, we actually focus on the red-legged Seriema, which in a way is somehow similar, to the African secretary bird. In fact, it fills in the same niche, the African secretary bird, but obviously are not even connected, are not related. All right, so it has a very loud sound, and usually wake you up in the morning when you are in some of the lodges there. And yeah, you get very close and you can get very nice pictures like this. Another good big bird that we have and easy to see is the largest species of toucan, which is the Toco Tucum. It's, in fact, sometimes comes to some of the feeders are set up there in the lodges. And as you can see, this fantastic long bill and are characterize all the species of toucans that we have in South America. Remember, toucans is a member, well, it's a family, the Rampasterae, that is only found in the New World. That means from Central America down to South America. So that's why a lot of people are attracted to see toucans when they come to South America. And in Brazil, especially this species, Toco Tucum, which is the largest, are easy to get. Another interesting bird that is easy to see in Pantanal, even in the city of Kuyava, to be honest, around there, is the Widacuco. The Widacuco is another species of interesting bird found in South America, from Bolivia, South Brazil, and Argentina, and usually found on perch on cables and wires like this. And it's found in little numbers as well. And for many years, people thought to be, related to hoaxins, for example, which is an Amazonian bird, but now it's in fact in the cuckoo family, easy to get. So another bird somehow sometimes hard to get, especially when you are in the Amazon, is a gray putu, like you can see, it blends in very well with some of the open and dry branches that we have there in Pantanal. And yeah, so you see it there almost everywhere you go. There is a big gray putu there and roosting during the day, and easy to get. Black skimmers, as you probably know, there are only 3 species of skimmers in the world. The one in the Americas is this one, which is the black skimmer. And along the rivers, especially in the Kuyava River, which is the river we're looking for jaguars, we get a lot of huge numbers of black skimmers on the river banks, and as you can see, as they fly and they are, in fact, catching birds, they use the lower mandible, to scan for fish just on the water, and in that way, they get to catch, they prey very nice and get to easy to get. Another big bird is the Russian spoonbill. It's also in United States, in the USA, North America. And but when you are actually driving over the bridge and all that, you see these big water pond, bodies of water, and they are also everywhere, there. Okay, I know quite common birds. So is Jabiru. I know Jabiru is also common in the US, but Jabiru stork is the largest species stork we have in Americas, and here in Pantanal they actually nest, no? And we can see during the dry season huge nests of Jabiru storks in the area, and then you can get the no to see the young ones as well. And yeah, so it's a huge bird. In fact, can be more than 3 or 4 feet tall, and long legs. And we have a lodge that we visit where there is a canopy tower that is, facing a nest of Jabirus, and you can get excellent views there. And they use trees with very, very long branches because, like an airplane, when they are about to take off, they need a lot of space. Believe it or not, being such a big bird, they need a lot of space to actually move forward before they take off. So often you see this huge nest in big trees with very long, big branches, and that's where they are. No, and it's just a huge natural spectacular when you see them taking off. It's like a huge airplane, and it makes a lot of noise, and they take off there and they start flying. They come to Peru, but they are Austrian migrants, believe it or not. They never nest here in the country, but they nest in Pantanal, in that particular area, south as well. All right, so as I said, a lot of the birds, 80 species, 82 species of birds in Pantanal are very big, and there are always small ones as well, but most of them are big. Wood storks as well, found in North America. They're also here in Pantanal. And the last species of stork we have in the Americas is this Maori stork, which can be also easy to get in Pantanal. Otherwise, it's very difficult otherwise, in other places. Maori storks can be found close to the rivers, going there. And yep. Yeah, wood storks are common everywhere.
So, Jose Antonio, one of my favorite birds in southern spring emer is a good one. One of my favorite birds in Pantanal that I remember being difficult to get, though a brief look, pretty fantastic, was the Mato Grosso amber. Do I have that species name right?
Mato Grosso amber, yes.
Yeah. What other endemics besides the high incidence macaws do you get in the Pantanal?
Well, Pantanal doesn't have so many endemics, because as I said, there are birds found in the Amazon areas and in other parts of Brazil,
Right.
Wild Lord spine-tailed, I believe, is a small spine-tail that is typical found in little bushes in Pantanal as well. I mean, Mato Grosso amber is not just in Pantanal, that, Charles. It's also found outside Pantanal. I mean, it's not endemic. In fact, I don't think there's any endemic bird for Pantanal. You know what I'm saying?
Right, but there's a lot of special Ashley birds. So we've got southern spring emer is a good one. Mato Grosso amber would be a one. Give me the name of that spine tail again.
White Lord.
White
Lord.
Oh, White Lord spine
tail.
White
Lord spine
tail. Yeah. Okay. I was just curious about those endemics and those things too. I'll let you go on, sir.
I never photographed the Mato Grosso amber, Charles.
I can understand that.
It's a it moves a lot.
It moves a lot. It pops up for a few seconds.
And I wasn't exactly. That's why it's not on the presentation.
Right, it's definitely a binocular better bird. That's
exactly. So is the spine-tail I mentioned, But
that's true.
So there are little birds that are always moving and hard to photograph, right? So sounding screamer is another nice bird to see in Pantanal, another big one. Otherwise, hard to see in other parts of the continent. There are only 3 species screamers in the world. In fact, they are all found in South America. We have northern screamer, horned screamer in the Amazon, and sounding screamer, and they make such a big loud noise. That's why the name, in fact, far member of the sort of like goose family, and that is again, bare-faced curassow, for example, is another bird that comes to the lodges looking for food. In fact, there's a male and female that you are actually seeing here, and yeah, so another easy bird. Whistling heron, a heron that needs almost no water to survive, right? And it makes a very interesting call. Sounds like someone whistling. That's why the name. And it's easy to get there as well. Another couple of birds that we got in Pantanal is like the sunbeater, that we can see here on the left in these small waters, ponds that we have during the dry season. Remember, something interesting in Pantanal is that there are more than 120 wooden bridges along this part of the Transpantanal Road. And when they made the bridges, they have to actually build up a little bit of the dirt, in order to build the bridge. And when they did that, they create, like big holes, little holes, very close to the bridges, correct? So, and these holes during the wet season are actually with water. And these are the only source of water during the dry season in this particular place. So in these small bodies of waters that we have usually over the bridges, you get all these, nice sort of bird life around, including sunbeater. That you ever been in South America before? And sunbeater is a monotypic species that is actually hard to get in the Amazon, especially, but in Pantanal it's very, very easy. Now, water jacana is another species that has a very long foot and long, and sometimes they call it the Jesus Christ bird, for example, because people can see like they walking on water in a way, and also has a very interesting sort of like breeding, technique where the male we actually build a territory, and build the nest, and the females come and lay the eggs in the nest, and then the females goes and the males actually incubate the eggs and take care of the young, right? That's why it's nice to see these water jacanas when they are with young. Normally the one with the young is the male, not the female, right? So another interesting bird that is very loud and noisy is the black Donacobius. And this Donacobius, interesting ecological fact about it, is that we're thought to be part of the wren family for many, many, many years. And now they are placing it on its own family. And further studies on the Donacobius have revealed that they are, in fact, far members of the Warbler family, all warblers, right? And they are no longer wrens. And here they're also easy to see. A couple of fantastic ibises as well that we have is the basnet ibis and the plumbous ibis on the right, often found in open grasslands as well, close to the lodges that we're visiting. And as I said, now to you before we start this presentation, Charles, America, in fact, is not a continent for kingfishers. Really, we only have 5 species of kingfishers in the whole continent, right? And 5, 6, I believe. And here in Pantanal, we get almost all of them, right? And we have the 2 small ones, like the American pygmy kingfisher, green and rufous kingfisher, Amazon kingfisher, and ring kingfisher, which is the largest kingfisher you can see here. And they are all 4 species, easy to get here in Pantanal. And yeah, so, and that's why it's nice, these birds. Some species of woodpeckers as well. This is like the classic we always look for, pale crested woodpecker. It's in the genus Celeus. And they are found usually in small patches of forest, like a little forest island that is also found in the Pantanal as you're going. Sometimes you are in the Pantanal and there are some little forest islands where there is a trail that takes you inside, And you can walk inside, you know, in some of the lodges we visit, we do that. And then we get pale crested woodpeckers, among other species, you know, like moths and trogons as well.
Okay.
And one of the largest species, sorry, Charles.
No, that's fine. You go on to that hyanthus macaw. I have some other little birds I want to bring up, but you cover the hyanthus macaw, and then we'll have a little chit chat about other birds that I love.
Okay, good. Hyanthus macaw, for example, is the largest macaw species, or the largest member of the parrot family, really, no, in the world. It can be a little bit larger than 3 feet or 1 meter, you know, and it's extremely easy to get in Pantanal, especially down by Porto Joffre, and they nest in cavities, you know, in big trees, and they feed on some small palm fruits, you know, that we have also there. Very noisy. They're always very curious about people, and they come close sometimes. And in Pantanal, in fact, there are about 20 species of parrots, including, you know, macaws, parrots, and parakeets. No, and but this is the largest species, and it's probably the most impressive of all the species of parrots we have there. No, the hyacinth macaw is all blue, no, with some sort of yellow features on the face, but it's just really nice. Yeah, another easy bird to get, Charles, there in Pantanal. Now we're going to talk about mammals.
Yeah, no, I'm going to talk a little bit about birds, and then we can move on to mammals. And let's talk about where we are in geography too. So, so other common birds that I really like in the Pantanal include chalk-browed mockingbird. We usually get that close to the lodge, right?
Yeah, chalk-browed mockingbird. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's close to the lodge, usually perch on wires and cables there. Yeah, easy to get to.
And then a stunning bird that you get along the road is the black-backed water tyrant, should not be forgotten. Though easy to get, it's a handsome bird. And then what about the chestnut-bellied guan?
Oh, it's also an endangered species, yeah, in Pantanal. Chestnut-bellied guan, found usually close to the entrance of the Transpantanal Road, to be honest. This is the place where I have found it many times. And sometimes comes to the ground, you know, to feed on little nuts and fruits that are dropped from the trees. Yeah, chestnut-bellied guan. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then the other ones that I really like that you may just take for granted a little bit are what are the 2 cardinal species? I think they lump them with the tanagers. One is what, red crested cardinal, I think.
Yeah, the red crested cardinal. Well, it's not unique from Pantanal, but it's easy to see. It's the one with the very white with a big red crest, and the other one is the yellow-billed cardinal.
Right. The yellow-billed one's the one that's a little harder to find, right?
Correct. It's a little bit harder to find, but usually found as well moving in these some small trees, bushes, and all that stuff. Yeah.
Got it. Do you wanna, let's see, we could take trying to include this one client question in here. Are you next going to do general wildlife stuff, or are you going to move on to Porto Joffre or Chapata de Skimmers? You tell me.
Well, I'm going to talk about mammals now that we have in Pantanal in general. No.
Okay. And then we're going to move on to
Chapata. Chapata comes at the end, correct?
Right. I'm going to let you talk about mammals for 2 to 4 minutes. I'm just watching the time here a little bit. We only have 20 minutes left, so maybe take 2 to 4 minutes on the mammals, and then let's move on to Chapata de Skimmers. Is that cool?
Okay, perfect. So here I'm going to show you some of the pictures I have taken in Pantanal, especially when we come down to Porto Joffre, and there is a very nice hotel there where we stay for a few nights. And then from Porto Joffre, we go and we start looking for jaguars, no, which is the largest wildcat in the Americas. No, and jaguars are easy to see there. And in fact, it's the easiest place in the Americas to actually see them. How do we see them? We get in a boat, as you can see here, a motorized canoe, And we go along the rivers, usually the Kuyava River, looking for this mammal, not only us. So, it's a lot of the other companies as well doing the same. And you can see here, the jaguars are found usually on the riverbanks, no? And as you can read here, jaguar watching is in fact the best in the Americas by far. I mean, and here in fact, because of there's abundance of food for the jaguars can be up to 50% bigger than in the Amazon rainforest. So, the biggest and the heaviest jaguar ever found in Pantanal was one that weighed 154 kilograms, which is over 300 pounds. In the Amazon rainforest, jaguars can weigh up to 80 or 90 kilograms, about 200 pounds, and that's it. Now, other mammals around is the Brazilian tapir, found there, easy to get. March deer is probably the biggest deer in the Americas. And this little crab-eating fox as well comes to the lodges looking for food overnight, the time, day and night. And some species of monkeys as well, primates. There's only like really 4 species of monkeys around, like including black howler monkey. The male and the female look very different, as you can see, very loud, all the howler monkeys in the Americas. And black-tailed marmoset as well, found in little forest islands around, very nice. Come to the lodges as well, because, there's not so many trees around. So they come to the lodges looking for food. And giant river otter, of course, the largest otter in the world, can reach more than 6 feet long. And sometimes they are in the rivers, like bathing or sunning like this. And then you get a photo, fantastic, photo like that. This is the mind pictures are an amazing found of the giant armadillos. You probably know young armadillos are very prehistoric mammals, and they're hard to get anywhere else in South America. But here in Pantanal, I found it on the road once, and I was able to take these photographs like this. So is this herd of white-leaf peccaries. This happens to me once going to Puerto Joffre on the Transpantanejo road. I have to stop for like almost an hour because the white-leaf peckers never left, stay there. And we have to we have to watch them all the time until they left. Imagine this amazing view of the peccaries. And giant anteater, one of the most bizarre looking mammals we have in South America, with a long nose that always looking for termite mounds in order to feed on termites, not ants, really termites. And they can eat, more than 30,000 termites, I think, in a day or something like that. And they are easy to get in some of the lodges around. Territory is very small. So if you find a territory giant anteater, you actually look for them at night, especially, and then you find it. But you can also see them during the day. Then we go to Chapata de Chimaraes National Park.
All right, man. We're going to take a little break for questions.
All right.
Any questions on the Pantanal before we turn to the Cerrado habitat around Chapata de Chimaraes?
Charles, I have one.
Thank you, Dave. I know who this is.
Yeah.
Thank you for the question. I briefly mentioned the first 2 syllables of your name.
No, it's fine. So you mentioned the small little islands of forest. And it reminds me of in Florida, in the Everglades, there are areas where the ground is maybe only 1 to 3 feet higher than the rest of the Everglades. But in that, there'll be a little group of forest. They call them hummocks. Is that the reason for these small forested areas? Is the land a little bit higher?
That's right, correct. That's correct. And in fact, these areas almost never get flooded because they're a little bit higher than the depression that we have. And did you know Pantanal is also a place that is full of termite mounds? And the reason why I'm saying this is because when it gets flooded, Pantanal, the pointed part of the termite mound is usually outside the water, right? A lot of the times we know that the seeds of these trees found in these forest islands remains at the top of this termite mound So from there, a tree will start growing, and then we will have a little forest island around, usually because a little bit higher than the rest of the terrain. No, and that is in fact the same sort of idea that in the Everglades. Remember, Pantanal is like 10 times larger than the Everglades, right? And but it's very much similar in a way of sort of like ecosystem, no?
Great question, good answer. Any more good questions out there? Oh, I have just one small comment, which always surprises me about Brazil. In Brazil, you can't stop along the highways. So, we start the tour with about 60, 80 miles worth of driving along the highway. Everybody wants to stop for birds. We can't. And then we get into the Pantanal and we start to see like the blackback water tyrants. Coming out of the Pantanal, we did take a road stop for, I believe the species was Brazilian teal. Do I have that species name right?
Yeah, Brazilian teal, yeah, it's like a duck.
I mean, it's
correct.
almost like we don't find it on the rest of the tour. I mean, it being a duck, you always think ducks are widespread. They're really not for some species. So that's one good roadside bird stop. Any other good roadside bird stops sort of in the Pantanal or between Pantanal and Chapata?
What do you mean with bird road? Or what do you mean?
Well, I mean, like a bird stop. Like sometimes you stop along the bird. You stop along the road to find a good bird. I mean, to tell the truth is,
as I said, I mean, almost anywhere you stop.
Abrus and red-legged Ariamas I've seen along the road before.
Yeah, of course. I mean, they have crossed the road many times in front of me. As I said, almost anywhere you stop in Pantanal is good for that because it's big, huge open grassland. And every time you look, in fact, we normally go with these safari tracks that are open behind. When it's a bigger group, but we do that. And then we can look and scan the whole field, open field for birds like the Legaceriema, like the Brazilian teal, like the gray cow wood rail, for example, sand bittern as well. And in these small rivers, we scan for things like agami heron, even six-eyed heron is actually quite easy to get in Pantanal, another most of the most wanted birds in South America, and things like that. There are ducks as well, like the whistling ducks, the black belly whistling duck, white face whistling ducks that can be seen in huge numbers. You see, everywhere really. Just saw there is a bridge. When there is a bridge, that means there's usually water under. In the dry season. And when there is water, as I said, it's the last and only source of water in the dry season, and that's what the birds are.
Gotcha. Hey,
Is
so
that
I invite folks to look at our website for some more chit chat about endemic birds or specialty birds in the Pantanal. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
And the other thing I want to emphasize, there was a comment on the road. The road quality of Brazilian highways are actually, the paved parts are really good. And though the Trans-Pantaneira road was never completed, in the dry season, it's fairly easy to travel along the road. It's not like a lot of up and down hills, a lot of potholes. It's a fairly well maintained road. And it's actually kind of perfect for bird watching because you can kind of cruise in and out of there pretty quick. Is that a good summary of road quality on the tour, sir?
Yeah, that is true. In fact, I mean, Pantanal's terrain, I would say, or grounds, is mainly sand. It's sandy. So that's why it's not good for any sort of agriculture in Pantanal at all, right? You see sometimes cattle ranching for sure a lot because that's why a lot of the old landowner there will have as a way of surviving, a way of making the money. And there are times where you see how some Transpantaneira people are taking a big herd of cattle from one a ranch to another. And that could take days sometimes even weeks, to be honest. And as you're going, you will actually meet this huge herd of cattle going to this other place. And it's such a nice place to see that as well. But farming wise, nothing there. Nothing grows in Pantanal because it's all sand. So yeah, so that means when everything is drying, it goes in and the sand gets a little bit, solid, and it's good road in a way. Mm-hmm.
A good question. So was basically stopping along the roadways and near the bridges is really easy to sort of stop, and it's a good place to take photographs, right?
Oh yeah. It's the best place in South America.
I would say as photography goes and birding tours, Pantanal is one of the more easy photography tours, wouldn't you say, sir?
Yeah, it is in fact the easiest. I mean, and almost every lodge also have like a little feeding station, and that they have put the seeds and some grains there, and hundreds of little birds come, like the cardinals you're talking about. It comes to get the food there. Even when you're having a little break, for example, in the lodge you stay at, and you go to that little bird feeding station, you get a lot of stuff there as well. So it's great for photography as well.
Okay, so I haven't done a good job maintaining time today. So I suspect we're going to go a little bit long. We're going to spend about 8 minutes on Chapata dos Mares, and then we'll spend about 5 minutes on Porto Jafre, even though he's kind of already hit the highlights of Porto Jafre. But let's spend another 8-10 minutes on Chapata dos Mares. And somebody did ask a question about what is the Cerrado habitat outside the Pantanal. This is indeed Chapata dos Mares, which actually has a pretty good mix of habitats, Cerrado and other, correct, sir?
Yeah. Most of the habitat around Chapata dos Mares National Park is Cerrado, but there's also a part of it that is reaching the Amazon rainforest as well, especially in the north of it. As you can see here in the map, so to get to Chapata, we need to go back to Kuyava City, and then we go northeast for about 99 miles. And this is the kind of scenery we see on the way. It's like Chapata in Portuguese means like this tabletop sort of mountains, or topless mountains, like you can see here, that is in fact millions and millions of years ago were under the ocean, in fact, and this is very much what you see on the way. A lot of nice waterfalls like this, nice lookup points that you can get to see. And on the way to Chapata, you're also going to stop in a place which is in fact the middle or the center of South America. From the lookup point, we get a lot of good birds, like for example, green and winged macaws. It's more of an Amazonian bird, where we also get to see them in Chapata, for instance. We don't get this species of macaw in the Pantanal, for example, but we do get them on the way to Chapata, or even in Chapata Guimarães itself. Another nice little bird that we look for is obviously the blue finch, in some of the areas around. Helmeted manakin as well, small little species of manakin that likes to sing a lot. It's found on the way. We know some few areas where we stop to look for these birds around, and white puffbirds as well. One of the species of puffbirds we have around. I mean, there are much more of the birds around, but I mean, no, I don't think I did have time to do it all. And yeah, well, here is a nice view of a sunset in Pantanal. I just want to tell you that, I mean, Pantanal, like any other South American destination, is so much than 1 hour of a presentation, right? But there is so much to see, and Pantanal for me is one of my favorite destinations. And as I said, is the only one place in the whole continent that can rival Africa for the spectacular wildlife, especially, and the interesting bird life as well around. So this is all about my presentation, Charles. I mean, we can talk about Porto Joffre if you want now.
Let's talk a little bit more about Chapata. I mean, just so folks know, this is a tour I've done twice, so I know it pretty well. And God Lord knows I've probably planned 20, 30 trips to the Pantanal at this point. But you know, beyond the blue finch, a couple other nice birds I remember are band-tailed manakin. Some of the roads around Chapata are pretty bird rich. I believe when Lelis heard the band-tailed manakin, it's one of his favorite birds. He sort of just quieted us down, and we took a little nice look at that bird. What are some of the other nice birds you remember on the roads around Chapata? Doskiema ares, which I can't pronounce the Doskiema ares part right. He's laughing at my Portuguese.
Blue and yellow macaw is also found in there. Golden color macaw is another bird to see on the way. There is the string creeper as well that you can see. Yeah, in Chapata, Chimaraes, a string creeper that I can remember from the
What
tour.
about those? They're either swifts or swallows, kind of down. You know that the longest walk on the tour. We go down these boarded walks, and there's like some waterfalls there, and like at dusk. I don't think they're bats. I think they're swifts or swallows. Do you remember that species?
I think it's a swift. Yeah, I also have in the tip of my tongue the name.
I'll race you.
I can check it out if you want.
Charles, how long is the tour to the Pantanal, and how many more days if you did an Amazon extension, and what else would you see that you wouldn't see in the Pantanal?
That's actually a great question. We've got some doozies here coming in. I'm going to start with that. I'm going to cover a few other client questions as well. So the sort of base tour is 8 days, 7 nights. And that's really a birder tour that does not cover Porto Joffre. And Porto Joffre is sort of the best place in the world to get jaguar and giant otter, as we've discussed. So the base tour is 8 days, 7 nights. If you really want the jaguar experience, you really need to do the 10-day, 9-night tour. And there's really, I've tried to engineer the jaguar part as an extension. It just really doesn't work. So I think the best thing to do is like, if you really want the jaguar, do the 10-day, 9-night tour. If you really just want the birding, which still has a lot of wildlife watching on it, do the 8-day, 7-night tour. And then the Amazon extensions, and there's 2 of them, are another 7 days and 6 nights. And there's 2 different lodges we go there. I just got a client question on from one of the gentlemen who did this tour some time ago. There's Rio Azul, which is a really nice lodge, and then there's Rio Cristalino. Most clients prefer Rio Azul because it's a lot cheaper. Rio Azul, I think, is now something like $380 per person per night. It's pretty crazy expensive. It may be more than that, but either way, happy to always discuss with people the Amazon extension differences. You do add, when you do the Amazon extension, you add another, 180, 220 species more. Is that about right, Jose Antonio?
Yeah, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is really different habitat. It's the southern Amazon, different from the Amazon you access in Ecuador, so it is a different mix of birds. There's a lot of bird lists on the trip descriptions on the website, so I encourage people to look there. So that website is www.pibird.com, and you can sort of navigate to Brazil, and you'll see Pantanal with Jaguar and Pantanal without, and you'll see the 2 Amazon extensions there. And they are sort of natural extensions to the tour, because they're sort of, to get to the Amazon, you need to fly to the city called Alta Floresta, and it's sort of best to get those flights out of Kuyava. So those 2 tours mix well. And then this next question actually sort of breaks my heart a little bit. It's Harpy Eagle in Chapata. So not so long ago, 6 to 8 years ago, there was a super reliable Harpy Eagle site. Remind me of the name of that little spot, Jose Antonio. We're both going to go blank on it. Was it Caripistas Aris? I think it was.
Which one, sir?
Oh, the Harpy Eagle spot used to be Caripistas Aris.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was sort of it was an easy place to sort of add a day coming out of Chapata, I think. And it was reliable. Harpy Eagle was reliable there for 20 plus years. And then suddenly, about 6-8 years ago, somebody destroyed the nest of the Harpy Eagle there. They haven't come back since. And it was you literally walk across 2 cow fields, and there's the Harpy Eagle nest. It was one of the easiest Harpy Eagles to see in the world. And unfortunately, that place has gone away. So that was a very good question, person who asked that question. The last question is on wintering warblers. That's a funny question, because, the Pantanal is sort of good June until September, exactly when all the USA warblers are back in the United States. So it's really not a good place to see wintering warblers, because the seasons don't match up right.
That's right. That's right.
But thank you for that question. Any
That's
other
right.
questions before we wrap it up? Well, we're going to be more on time than I thought. And Ordo Joffre, in brief, it is really to see your best chance you'll ever have to look at Jaguar. I've heard of one tour that's missed it when people were really loud on the boat, but generally, if you're quiet on the boat, you're going to see it. Giant otters is a little more of a float away, but we always get in them. So
I remember Charles.
Adding 2 days and 2 nights to the tour. Yep, go, my friend.
I remember once I was in Pantanal with a group. I saw 8 different Jaguars, individuals, between 8 o'clock in the morning till 12 o'clock, and in 4 hours. Yeah, unbelievable. Yes, really unbelievable. Before I went to Brazil, and somebody talked to me about it, I couldn't believe that. But I went there for the first time, as you know, and I was amazing. So I don't remember I ever had a group with not seeing a Jaguar at all.
Great, and I do have to do the typical administrative call. Maybe we'll there's no further questions. Maybe we'll chop off. If you want to listen to the administrative stuff, you certainly can. Any additional questions out there at all? Text them or unmute. Either one is fine. Hearing none, I think we'll call it a day. Thank you, everybody, for your time. I hope you had a